Look, our good friend George gathering up garbage here. He's leaving this morning and he made great progress with a lot of garbage here in the rocks. Bottles and cans and pieces of plastic. And he got a ride this morning to Jerusalem, so he's leaving, and he's leaving a trail of service, a trail of giving. And you noticed yesterday he was very happy. And that's coming from, what's happiness coming from? Good morning, George.
Good morning, Father.
How are we doing today?
Doing good.
There, we got you right now.
Doing very good.
That's excellent.
Beautiful sunrise.
Hey, we got great readings today. They're really amazing. I want to check out what all the cleaning you got done here.
Well, I don't know if I got everything, but I got a lot of it.
You got a lot of stuff out of here, out of these rocks. And you're out early this morning. Did you ever get to put your feet in the Sea of Galilee?
Yes.
Oh, good. Now I'm happy, finally.
Actually, my hands, I should say.
Uh-huh. That's a glorious morning, isn't it?
So peaceful.
Yes.
And you know, there's like no wind in the morning.
Yes, that's correct. It's in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You know the reason for that?
No?
You're at the lowest point of your life right now.
Okay.
We're in the Jordan Valley, 200 yards below sea level.
Isn't the Dead Sea the lowest?
200 more. So it's
200
400 more. Like 400 below sea level.
I get to go there on Saturday.
Oh, very good. It's coming Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, with the group.
That's great. So look at you're exactly right, because the Jordan Valley is the lowest valley on earth. And then when the sun heats up in the daytime, all this air rises. You know, it's always cooler on top of a mountain, so it's warmer down deeper.
Right.
And then the air lifting up draws in all the air from the Mediterranean, you know, from the west here. And because of Mount Arbel and that other hill and the other valleys out behind it, there's like a natural funnel of air. So we get some of the strongest winds coming in here.
Yesterday afternoon, it was strong.
Oh, yeah. And it also, you know, and that's without any storms. So if you combine that with a storm, then you can get real trouble on the Sea of Galilee, you know, the storms on the lake and the sea. So this would be the most prone part to the most violent wind right here, actually.
And how long is the Sea of Galilee?
It's
Approximately.
Well, it's about 80 kilometers all around on the periphery. So I think it's about 8 miles across here.
Uh-huh.
And then I think it's about 17 or 18 north-south.
Wow.
So it's not that much, you know. It's a small lake, really, compared to the Great Lakes of Michigan, for example. Hey, guys, look at the reflection of water coming in from the building. Now that's an amazing reflection. That's a very different reflection than the one we have over here from the sun. The one we have from the sun is coming directly from the sun.
Right.
The other one is also coming from the sun, but it's
a
reflecting off
reflection.
the building. So the sun is reflecting on the building, and then that light is hitting across toward us here. So we got two paths on the water this morning. Two paths of light.
It's a light.
So we got very powerful readings this morning, an awful lot to digest. And we're looking at, through the lens of one person that's been celebrated today, one of the apostles, you know, John's brother James and John, you know, they're among the very first disciples. And what I'm really amazed by and my attention is grabbed by is, let's say even the psalm line. The psalm says they go home, they come back rejoicing. They went out with tears to sow, and they come back rejoicing. And that's a little bit of a key for the situation, because if you started with the first reading, you'd have a picture of the apostles like, you know, incredible servant leaders, and not just servant leaders like picking up the garbage. I mean, they're really suffering and it's coming from, I think it's Corinthians there. They're Paul's words, but they're good for every apostle, for everybody who commits to transform the world out of love. Then there's a path of suffering for them ahead. And who's the beneficiaries? Well, anybody who's improving the world. Like every child in an orphanage is blessed because they got to have an orphanage. Right. And every person in a hospital is blessed because somebody built a hospital and somebody studied medicine. So, it's the reading from St. Paul is telling the Corinthian disciples, wake up. You're being blessed because people are laying down your lives for you. Like parents lay down their lives for kids.
Yeah.
And the kids have been blessed, but sometimes the kids can turn in on themselves and say, wow, dad isn't fair today, mom isn't fair today because they're giving me guidelines that I don't like, Right. So the interesting thing for me isn't all of that. The interesting thing for me is the change that happened in James. So we go to the gospel reading, and that's like where we really see the transformation that happened. Because in the gospel reading, James and John are not just looking for the first places. They did it in a very sneaky way. They got their mother to ask for them. Now, it's very hard to turn down a lady's request, and she does homage before Jesus. And she prepares his disposition that he'll say yes, And they want to have first place. And what do they want first place for? They want to have first place to be in charge and to dish out orders. You go and pick up the garbage there, and you go and pick it up over there. And they're looking for their own earthly glory, their own earthly pleasure, their own earthly comfort. But actually, Jesus says you have no clue what you're asking for. Are you, if you want the first places with me, to the right and left of me in the kingdom, then are you ready to suffer?
Vice.
To drink the chalice?
It's a unique way.
Now, parents love to have a beautiful kid that's successful at sports.
Or whatever.
Or whatever. And they have this lovely baby that's just born, like the one yesterday was just born yesterday. It was actually born at midnight, just the one I was telling you about yesterday, guys. And then, the joy of that baby and the plans for that baby and the ambition for that baby and everything, And yet, what parents are going to go through to bring that baby to life? Well, what the mother already went through to bring the baby to birth, So, life, the mystery of life is really revealed in these apostles, and they were transformed because they're looking for first places, and now James is being martyred. And he's doing it happily, in the sense that he's at peace, that he's fulfilled, and that he's not hating those who are taking his life. Right. So we're going from the opposite of lording it over people to somebody who's laying down his life for people. And that's what really convinces me about Jesus. There's all these arguments about the existence of God and about Christianity and why it's all right and all the rest of it. But one of the things that deeply convinces me is that Jesus managed to lay out a path of life on very difficult, turbulent waters. And we can follow on that path and we can be transformed. And that's amazing.
That is amazing, Father.
And you see, when are we happiest? When we're lording it over people, or when, we're really going, giving the last bit of ourselves to help them to become successful, to help them to make it, to serve them.
That's when we're the most happiest. Right.
When we're picking up their garbage.
I should have never done that.
I see you missed one bit down there. I'll go in and get that part so that I can say that we cleaned up this place, church.
I missed that one.
No, but it's amazing, isn't it? How the gospel message and scripture transforms people.
Not only that, Father, it's amazing how our good Lord laid everything out.
It is.
From the birth to the crucifixion.
Yes.
To the resurrection.
Yes.
I mean, it truly is. And then everything that surrounds us.
Right.
I mean, God. I mean, what a tremendous plan. And all we have to do is continue to pray and to follow his way.
And you know, it's the amazing thing about, there's one more step. It's not just the transformation of these guys in the sense that they went from that part to that, from being really totally self-centered power mongers and brokers, and they want to get it for themselves and everything, and to be in charge. But they give all the credit to God. So we open the first lines of Corinthians, and it says, we hold this treasure in earthen vessels, that the surpassing power may be of God and not from us, because we can't do the transformation.
No.
We need grace. And then if we go down to the lady, the mother of James and John, she's pretending to give glory to God. She makes all these courtesies and bows. She did him homage, wishing to ask him for something. So her homage is not really homage. It's really manipulating homage.
No, she's asking
to sit on the throne herself with her sons.
It's amazing.
Isn't it amazing? So, and really in the context of the whole chapter 20 of Matthew's Gospel, this passage is very powerful. So people, we're doing this nice and tight this morning. I'm going to finish early this morning because there's so much in this. You guys need to go back and see it again, or listen to it again, or actually just open up the Gospel and read it there, read up the text, and absorb it. This is the core of life, people. The core of happiness, the core of our identity. Unless the seed falls in the ground and dies, it will not bear fruit. This is really the big one. And the dying isn't the dying just of being buried in a coffin. The dying is the dying of actually saying no to our own egos and being a blessing for a marriage, being a blessing for a child, for an aging parent, being a blessing for a neighbor, or just driving on the street and praying for the other people coming in the cars in our direction or overtaking us. People, it's a lovely morning here. Let's do our little selfie moment. And God bless you. See you later, alligators.
Bye.
There we go. Thank you, George, for all you've done here in Magla. And we thank everybody, all of you as well, people. God bless you all. See you later.